My friends, I hope you're doing fantastic. I am excited being here with you, and I try to challenge myself every week to show up in a different setting, or perhaps also that means how I'm dressed up, a long time because I'm just like you probably. Most of my days in a corporate setting, and I had always this notion of you get to wear a tie, you got to wear a suit. So tie I usually wear, but there was a period where I used to wear a suit, every day, and I felt like super cool until I figured, it doesn't make me better, and perhaps there was some perception that I had, and even one time my ex-boss told me like, do you always come dressed up like you go for a business meeting? And then you realize that we got to be ourselves. And today's whole notion is about unlocking the executive growth. And I know this sounds really fancy schmancy, but in the end it's about a review. And as you know, I'm doing this series, and usually I write an article and then I shoot a video a little bit to it. Sometimes I cover the whole article. But what I want to try to do as well in the future is give you a little bit outside perspective and some filling the gaps, if you will. Because I feel that in today's society, it is really a lot about reflection. And I want to start today's pondering and session about a review from the Daily Stoic. I am a big advocate of reading some philosophy time to time to remind myself. I try to do it every day, actually. When it's very busy, I try at least to screenshot it, because I usually have it on my iPad, and then try to make some thoughts. So today's and it's actually not from today, that's from January, because now we are obviously already in February. This is crazy. Can you believe that? We are in February. So today review is from Seneca Moral Letters 83:2. I will keep constant watch over myself, and most useful will put each day up for review. For this is what makes us evil, that none of us looks back upon our own lives. We reflect upon only that which we are about to do, and yet our plans for the future descend from the past. I like this, and I don't want to start too heavy, my friends. It is, sometimes a habit to go deep straight away. But the fact is that really unlocking executive growth, it's really about strategies that bring you a little different perspective on how you deal with yourself right now. And when I was writing this article, when I'm just shooting this video for you, what's playing back of my mind is mostly the time where, just like you, I was a busy executive. I was all over the place, and I had multiple goals that I wanted to accomplish, and I didn't know where to focus on and what to focus on and how to prioritize. And I'm not saying that I have it figured out now, but I feel that this is exactly the point. How can you figure it out if you don't take the time to figure it out, if it makes sense? It's very simple in today's world to get flooded in reaction to things. And I'm thinking, because this week I was consumed in our company in workshops, and we were thinking about how to re-strategize, how to make things better, right? And then at the same time, you're thinking, how much preparation has to go into this. And even if you sit in these workshops, maybe you don't always have an answer for everything, but it is often very a reactionary type of work in our lives, that we kind of try to pull the strategy from, if I say so, from our pocket, and try to whip it really quick and hope for the best. But that's often not how it works. And it requires obviously the entire team, entire organization. And going back to the story that I mentioned, I was quite at that period of my time very busy and consumed, and I was building a startup on the side, and I was so exhausted. At the end of the day, I just realized, man, what am I actually really doing with my life? Where am I going? What am I trying to portray in the world? what about my values? What about my belief system? Because in the end, if you think about it, it's all about how we are perceived on the outside world. And that means how we do the inner work, right? And for me, I was quite unsatisfied with how I was portraying myself to the world. And maybe, yes, there was, some extra buck that I could earn, but was it really worth the struggle and the hustle? And in today's grind and hustle society, if you really want to unlock yourself, it starts to be about authenticity. Just like I said at the start, right? How am I dressing for these videos? How am I showing up for myself? And I'm like, I want to be myself. I want to, of course, some people, maybe business people will watch it. Maybe my boss will watch it. Maybe some ex-colleagues will watch it. And then obviously I don't want to look like an idiot, if you will. But at the same time, I'm thinking, those are the things that I care about. I care about not what other people think about me, but what I can contribute to this world. And as an executive, you need to step outside your current domain, and it means to rejuvenate. It means to innovate. It means to take your leadership from a different perspective, from an excellence perspective. And I think what we really need to do now a little bit more is first embrace the world experiences. As I said, you know, when I was going through the grind and hustle, you somehow end up in this tunnel where you grind and hustle, and it's good. I love routine. I love drive. I love to build my, body and six pack and be like, oh, I did that. But the thing is, sometimes we retreat a little bit from what's really happening. And going back to what I was saying before, if you go in your company through some type of workshops and re-strategizing, often it's still a reactory type of work. And what you need to do is really have people who are switched on. And I know this is not something you can order. Think of a snake, right? Snake is an animal that sheds skin, maybe twice a year, maybe once a year, depending, to reveal the magnificence, to reveal a new transformation. And we need to transform ourselves on multiple fronts. It's not just, at work and be a great human being, but we also want to be a great partner at home. We want to be a good friend, and we want to be a well-rounded human being. So imagine how many transformations are there on this front. And then on that top of that comes, right, your level of ambition to take care of others. Maybe you're a person who cares about others really deeply, and that's how you show it. And that means also that you go extra step to put yourself out there and help others, be a humanitarian. And sometimes what we really forget down the line is that we actually spending ourselves and energy on everything and everybody else, but we don't get anything in return just because we are so focused on giving and giving. And it doesn't mean that you will have to get something in return. It means you need to slow down. You need to take a step back and think like, where am I at? And on my journey, this was a trip probably dating back to 2018, when my partner just grabbed me almost by a collar and said, hey, we are traveling somewhere else. And being her, she loves to travel. And so we booked a plane and traveled to Philippines. It was also so far away that I couldn't, even if I wanted to work, I needed to disconnect. I needed to gain a different perspective. And that act alone, booking the plane ticket, hopping on a plane, transferring, then, coming there, being in a different time zone, and especially what caught me totally off guard is this sincerity and generosity of the Filipinos, and generally how happy and lucky they were to be alive. Here in the West, I feel our being alive, a meaning of life, means accumulating more status, power, showing neighbors that I'm fitter, that I have this and they don't have that. And again, I'm overblowing it. Not everybody, does that. There are many people who live actually below their means or even don't try to display their level of status. It's maybe something inside of us which occasionally just creeps out and we try to look for self-validation out there. But when you are able to attend, your own thoughts and also visit country like that and ponder and realize that people actually live between four walls and have flip-flops on and are happy. I'm using this example actually a lot. I've been using this example in the last years, and it made me really humble in the way I think about things, right? So that also means that if you really want to develop a little bit your own style and your own level of excellence, you need to, especially in your organization, in your own team, in your own personal life, maybe your finances, a business, it's really about, on one, navigating your personal decision, how authentic you are and your values and your character, and then steering the disruption of the market. And these two kind of go hand in hand. I know there might be, in your opinion, little disconnect, but if your values and your personal character is not really a character of contribution in these times when everything is kind of falling together and falling not into place really, but just it's a big mess. What do you do, right? You can only fall back on your values and on your character and stay strong. And this is what people in your organization, in your own life, and you yourself look towards to. How to be stable, how to be strong, how to show and display a trait of integrity, honesty, passion, enthusiasm when others are just losing it. And if you want some recommendation of books that I would recommend to read, there are quite few, but there's one that I read a while back, Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. So it's really understanding the dual processes that drive your decision making, enabling you to make kind of good decision and manage these complex decision making, and at the same time use these business challenges and decide effectively. The second one, which everybody knows, is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So obviously developing your habits, that's something that we now try to do with some of my friends, and through the program that I just gonna drop here because we're gonna be launching it this month, The Resilient Optimist. And that's my own personal initiative to build a mastermind a little bit next to the groups that I already lead, but a little bit on a accountability level, and for myself and for my friends, but also generally for people who want to move their life a little bit further and bring their fire and thunder a little bit everywhere they go. And the third one I would recommend you is the book from Carol Dweck. I talk about this book in different sessions, The Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. So it's really about this growth mindset that empowers you to overcome obstacles, innovate continuously, and achieve lasting success in a competitive landscape. And many people nowadays, when you mention growth mindset, people get a little bit icky because it feels like, what is this airy-fairy concept of like I constantly need to read books and I need to study. And that's something that I would definitely recommend you to do, but not for the sake of it. It's just for you to have different insights. Like, I feel that if you get on Google today, you can still get all the information and what you're looking for. You just type it into ChatGPT or Copilot and you get a decent answer with some curating from on your end. But at the same time, you need to be focusing on building key skills that directly relate to what you want to build in life and what you want to stand for. So whether that's me practicing being uncomfortable, each week in front of a camera and thinking, well, I actually like watching it in 20 years, or maybe my family member, and disregarding completely how many people will watch this, probably my mom, my dog, which I don't have, a cat, but just having this consistency and will to show up every week and shoot this, because I know that communication is a key skill that I need to be honing on and on, and that it takes time, probably the whole life to gain mastery. And in different situations you need to show up, and how you speak, how you position yourself. And I like this a lot. So that's why I try to make myself uncomfortable every week. Even if I want to watch Netflix or do something else, I'm like, this is what I sign up for. And to really hone it back down on the focus and what I mentioned, right, with you unlocking the growth in you, I started with authenticity. And I think this is super important for you to reflect every week on who are you, where are you going, who you want to become, what have you accomplished, where have you maybe accomplished less, what type of person are you becoming. But at the same time, it's really reflecting on how, awesome human being are you becoming. Are you just doing things for the sake of that everybody else is doing it, or are you doing really and dialing it down on your character? Are you dialing it down on who you want to go? And for that, there are 3 things I want to give you, that I believe could really help you. It's using some type of vision board, a battle board, and I have it in front of me. The battle board is still empty, and that's why I'm mentioning it also for my own accountability. But it's 12 blocks that you have there, and that at least I have it in my head that I think what I want to do. But it's good to have and make an exercise out of it for yourself to have this focus. The second is that I actually saw the other day a little video from Lisa Bilyeu. I don't know if you know Lisa Bilyeu, but she talked about this no BS challenge. When you say in 3 months, I will learn Spanish, and what would it take? So you put, that means you want to be super fluent in 3 months. So that means you need to do it 8 hours a day. 1 hour is Duolingo, second hour is watching TV, third hour is talking to a neighbor, fourth hour is maybe do a tandem, etc., etc. So it's really kind of going a little bit deeper into what you want to accomplish and how you're gonna get it done. And the third thing, what I really believe in, is about that determination follows focus. Probably other way around that I wanted to say. I just realized focus follows determination. So first you need to be really convinced that you want to do this, and then the focus follows. So imagine you want to get fit. You wake up every morning, you put your shoes on, you put your exercise gear on, and then you go. And then you know that you will run this type of route in order for 5 kilometers in order to kind of train your running skills. You're determined, you're motivated, and you do it. And the focus follows exactly after that. So imagine you do this for a month, and after 30 days, actually, maybe you don't even need to put an alarm, because your body's gonna wake you up, and your mind already is gonna program you to do that. This is why I'm so grateful that I've been exercising for the last 20 years or more. And I really keep this habit to do that at least, 4 to 6 times a week, depending on my traveling schedule, but to sometimes, if the luxury allows, even twice a day, just because I know I want to be so conditioned that I'm really at a peak state up here. So there are a few further strategies that I want to recommend you from my favorite source, the Haberman Lab, and you probably have known the Dr. Andrew Haberman. He provides invaluable insights, in my opinion, about how to optimize on brain optimization, functioning, managing stress, and essential components of, I would say, leaders seeking enhancing their performance. The first thing that I've heard him talk about many times in different media like Instagram and YouTube and interviews is optimizing your sleep and light exposure. So Dr. Haberman encourages and emphasizes the importance of, exposing yourself to natural light early in the morning to set your circadian rhythm. I try to do it. I used to do it. Now I try to do it every time, go for a walk every morning for at least 10 minutes. And that's my way to try to stay in the sun, or at least gaze in the sun for a couple of moments. And this simple little habit can really improve your sleep quality, prime your brain for more alertness and efficient decision making. The second thing is managing stress with controlled breathing. So I've been experimenting with breath holds since probably 2023 now, since my partner and I went to Costa Rica and did this free diving course where you basically take a breath, your belly, your rib cage, and your lungs, and then kind of equalize your ears and go under with one breath. And since then, I'm doing these static breath holds almost every day when I wake up, and that is really good way for me in tough situations to be more aware of am I stressed, and then focus on deep breathing and more also understanding where the breath is, and etc. etc. And that I would encourage you really to do and explore. Maybe not even that free diving. You probably should consult a doctor. I definitely went to a doctor because of my one of my nasal canal is a bit narrower than the other. So for me, equalizing is quite hard, but nevertheless, I still went for it. The third thing I would say, include a little bit more movement and mindfulness. I talk about movement a lot, and for me, movement is mindfulness. So in my early years, when I used to do boot camps and coach people around fitness, and I still do it nowadays, on and off, I preach that if you are fit, this is how pretty much you can optimize every area in your life. Just because you build confidence, you build self-discipline, and you get fit. And when you look in the mirror and you see your body transform, it has some magical effect on your brain as well. And that is something what many people need. Mindfulness itself, you can obviously do through, just like I do, through Insight Timer. I have this app, and if you don't know Insight Timer, it's quite cool. You always have, little quote. Today it's "We must accept finite disappointment, but never." I know I just lost it because it already switched. But there is, but never lose infinite hope. So it's really cool because you can have see how long you've been actually meditating. So for me, I don't know if you can see it because the camera is a little bit, just do real quick if that works. Probably that works right now. Have a look. So you will probably not see it, but I see it's just 116 days I'm already on. And then you can see some stats. It's a free app. I really like it because it does provide quite some cool features with it. You can pay for it. I've never paid for it, but I just like to have these type of things. Also, when we come back to the health, let me show you one more thing real quick. And that's if you have the Apple Watch, just like I have, you can have this health stats, which shows you how you sleep. You can log how pleasant is your day, the steps. And I actually was looking at it, and I don't look at it every day, but you have active energy steps, how you cycled, your heart rate, your sleep cycles, the headphone levels, respiratory heart rate. You can put in also some health stuff about yourself, and share it with others. And it's really cool because I was just looking at it today and I'm like, I'm fit. Even VO2 max, which I try to do, one, let's say, a high interval training every week. It was really cool to see that you can really optimize your oxygen in your blood as well, which should usually be between 95 and 100% depending how fit you are. So mine is usually around 95, 96. But that's because we do a lot of sport with my partner, and these breath holds can also lower how much hemoglobin your blood carries. But it's really interesting, and not to diverge too much, but to use this example as well when you're looking at how you can unlock your executive growth think about, what tools are you using right now to optimize yourself so you're a kick-ass human being. You're awesome and you're proud. And for me, having apps like that where I'm seeing holistically how am I sleeping, do I have a sleep apnea, which I don't, which I'm very grateful for, but there's some other things that your body and some modern gear can show you. This is how you could optimize, and you can read, and this is also this article or this video with the text maybe that I will provide to you and some of these extra things. I want to encourage you to really think, okay, it's tough out there regardless of what industry you're at. Maybe they are downsizing in your company. What can you do? And the thing what you can do is really dial down on your values, dial down on your character. That means helping other human beings, but also reflect, like, who are you, where are you going, and where you see yourself in 10 years. What's happening now will determine partially where you're gonna end up, but it doesn't have to be a given. You can really decide how you're gonna shape that, and that you can shape by being positive and taking charge of your leadership journey. So I slowly want to conclude here. Remember to the passage I read to you from Seneca and the Daily Stoic about reflection. I have to say that one thing that helped me a lot in my life in my early years, which I started probably when I was around maybe 12 or 10 years old, it's really writing things down. Writing back then, because I was growing up in a religious family, it was a lot about scripture. It was about, what does it mean for me? And I took this habit later on when I was reading books. And when I'm reading books, I don't say I'm journaling every time I'm reading something, but I usually journal every day about what I want to accomplish or want to do. And if you want to be really unlocking who you are becoming, you need to be more present in your journey. And not just hoping that what you do now will somehow propel you into where you want to go. It might happen, but you better determine that. You better think about it. And even if that doesn't totally propel you there, it's a journey. And that also shows that even with this exercise, things take longer than we think. So imagine how much effort you need to exert and how much effort a rocket needs to exert to take off and lift off. So see your life like that. Things don't happen just like this. They happen with slow, steady progress. So better dedicate and watch these videos, maybe skim through, pause, reflect, write stuff down, and then revisit it. I really want to thank you for watching this. Please share it with 3 of your friends. That would mean a lot to me. Also, what would mean a lot to me, if you want to connect with me, as you could see on LinkedIn, please, let me just see, point, that's there, almost, yes, up there. Please connect with me on LinkedIn if you need any advice. I'm more than happy to help. And also, please join my newsletter that's here, the Shots of Inspiration, where I'm launching also now in February. I'm super excited because there are a few initiatives, like I mentioned, the Resident Optimist. So if you want info about that and you want to be part of some club and mastermind and some cool people, please reach out. I can show you around and introduce you maybe to some people, but also just generally be in a cool, positive environment where you grow. So thank you again. I'm really excited for your year. Remember, unlocking your year is with focus. And this is why I'm shooting these sessions, because I hope if you use these strategies every week, it will pile up, it will go together, it will show you who you can become at the end of the year. But it means every week should be a theme for you. Every week should be a focus. And that means watching these videos remind you who you want to be and what you should work towards. And that means working on character, that means working on values, because those things, when you really dial down on the skills generally and running those experiments, as I said, in different areas, that's amazing. Keep reading, keep improving. But also those skills that will take you, like me shooting this video, mumbling and rumbling, being uncomfortable, but at the same time know that when I watch this in 10 years, I will be proud because it will be hopefully better in 10 years. So, my friends, thank you again. Be well. I really appreciate you. And until the next time, stay awesome and be legendary.